All right, everybody, welcome back to the Goddess Giselle Podcast. If you're new here, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. My name is Giselle, and I'm your host. It's been a while, so pardon my delay, but y'all know life has been lifing. I recently became a mom, and honestly, we just going with the flow nowadays, which I also encourage you to do. Don't force anything, just go with the flow. And so with that being said, I'm so excited to jump right into our conversation with our special guest. We have Alexa Burse coming to the channel today, and make sure I'm pronouncing that right, your last name.
Yeah, it's like purse with a B.
Boom. So Alexa Burse, welcome to the channel. I am so excited to have you here. And I'll tell you all a quick story. She and I met in Atlanta going in our, regular day to day. And I was just impressed by literally the brand that she had on her shirt, which had nothing to do with anything. And I was just like, what's that? And she told me, and then we went into this whole spiel and started talking about creator economy. And I was just so impressed by the fact that she was working in the business. And it's just not common to meet women like yourself. A lot of people are trying to be creators and trying to do their content, but they don't speak to it from a business perspective. And so we really just hit it off from there. And obviously we had so many other random things in common. So welcome to the channel, Alexa. How are you doing?
Thanks. Thank you for having me, Giselle. Super excited to be here. I'm good. I am excited to dive in, have some chit chat, talk about what I do, and honestly, how I really am championing and helping creators. But thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. And so before we get started, I love to ask my audience or my guests to the channel, you share your name, which we already did, your current location, also where you're from, and your title, and then a job title, whatnot, and then any hats that you wear, whether it's that's an aunt, wife, this, that. I like to talk about that as well. So we'll start with that.
All right. So yes, I'm Alexa Burse. I am a Harlem girl. I am born and raised in New York, but I am living in Atlanta now. And I am the founder of Lenox Social, which is a creator development consultancy with a focus on monetization and revenue architecture. Because I sit on the business side, the broker, the money side of the creator economy, which basically means that I help creators run like an actual business, not just creating content and not just doing hobbies. I really help them create businesses, which I'm really excited and proud of. And outside of work, I'm the only daughter, favorite daughter, all of that. I'm only child. I am a wife as well. I'm a dog mom, and I feel like I'm a pretty good home chef. So yeah.
Oh, you're home chef. What do you have a favorite dish that you like to cook? Or go to?
My most recent favorite dish is like this honey jerk salmon, which I've perfected. Let's argue, but I feel like I've perfected it. So that's my most recent. But I have a arsenal of recipes.
Nice. Well, welcome to the channel. And are you still in celebration mode with the New York Knicks taking it all the way?
It's still Knicks in 5. Like I'm such a minimalist with my nails. I never do anything besides like just neutral colors, French. But like I was like, no, we are active. We are celebrating. So yeah, I am.
Oh, let's get into the nails. Hold on. Let's give them a moment. Let me see the nails. Oh, listen, New York out. That is so cute. No, New York is in the building. Like I love to see it. And it's girl, when I tell you, y'all, when we met IRL, I was just like, we were just da 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 da. And then she was like, I'm from New York. I was like, are you really? And then we just hit it off. So I am not from New York. I'm actually from Alabama. Right. But the New York energy it's infectious. And so I'm so happy y'all were able to bring it on home. And one of the running jokes with the New York, anybody has a New York in their life, they're like, the New York is going to be insufferable because y'all won and we're not going to hear the end of it. So is that also true?
Yes, we are. I am a long suffering Knicks fan. So I am absolutely insufferable. And I have been insufferable for the past like 2 weeks. And I will be. It'll always be Knicks in 5. But yes.
There you go. Well, I am so happy to hear that, girl. That is so funny. And another question, so wife, all of the things. And like I said, on this channel, I like to dive into just the balancing act. Because, of course, our professional career is everything. But also, we'll make sure we're keeping that personal career. It can become a career, but, your personal life and make sure we're bringing it together or at least just creating space for that, right? And not just work, 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 work. So I love that you're married. I actually did see the link with your Black Bride feature. That was cute. Right, y'all. She's just doing all the things. And so also, Alexa, I want to ask if you could name 3 women who inspire you and briefly explain why.
So I would start with my mom. I come from a single parent household, very humble beginnings. But my mother she's always scrappy. She was always super resourceful. She always prioritized the right thing. Like she made sacrifices so I could have like a good education, so I can go to the best schools. And she really made a way out of no way. That's probably my first one. First and foremost, she made me who I am, which I'm forever appreciative. The second one, I love Rihanna. So anyone that knows me knows I am a Riri fan, not just because of the music, but I mean, I am a fan of her music, but just who she is as a human being. Like, she is so unapologetic. She doesn't over explain, unapologetic in how she moves, how she lives. She's also, again, like, she was able to identify a huge hole in the market, and made beauty inclusive. And really, she built Fenty by treating culture and commerce in the same way. So I truly do admire her. She's a mom now, a mom of 3, and she keeps going. And I love her. Like, I always say that that's my spirit animal. So I love her, love what she's built, love how she lives her life. And that's the energy that I want to bring. And then I guess the third one, I'll pick a creator. And I was looking at her, I was watching her earlier, but Janae Naylor, she was formerly High Low Lux, but she has a really inspiring story. She started out as like a Target employee, worked her way up, started building content, ended up having a really successful line within Target. A couple of years ago, now she has her own sunglass brand, 12 p.m. Studios, which I think is in Nordstrom now. They're hugely popular. So, and I've met her a few times just through my work. She's so sweet, and she's very smart, and I've watched her grow as a creator. I watched how she moves very smart, and I respect her as well, just because, not even just because of a businesswoman or in a creator standpoint, but she has this like power about her. Like, she is very, she charges what she's worth, and she doesn't flinch. She's very like this very commanding presence about herself, still likable, but it's very much so like boss moves. And again, just her story is really inspiring. If anyone has a chance to check it out, it's a great one.
Ooh, love it. Thank you. And I know exactly who you're talking about. And I agree. I mean, the way you just described it and brought it forth from your POV, it even grounds it even more, because that commanding, that I love that word, commanding. Women who command without even saying anything, that's very like impressionable. Like, that feels good. So
yeah,
which is why her content, her brand, and her story is so, evolving. I love how you mentioned her story first, because hello, social. I think that's the one thing that I'm going to speak from a creator POV tonight. Okay. And so creators, we often, I know I'm a storyteller, but I don't really talk about my story online as much as I should or could, because for some reason I'm like first person, but then I don't ever get outside of the main character energy. Right. And so I'm not taking the time to share this story with the audience, whatnot. Let's jump right into that, and like the power of your story and telling your story online, and how that could translate into something bigger than where you stand.
All right. So my story is actually probably a little unconventional. So I went to University of Maryland. I was convinced I was going to be this PR girly. I majored in PR. I was like, I'm going to move back to the city and live the Sex and the City life, and just, it'll be great. And I graduated, and I couldn't find a job in PR, and I did, the job that I did find, she was like, it'll be an apprenticeship, so I need you to work for me for free for a few months, and then I can give you a small salary. And I love my mom, but I did not. I come from very humble beginnings. So my mother was like, "Okay, you're grown. You're out of college. I need you to help pay this rent. So you need to get a real job. You can't be working for free." So I was like, "Okay." So I ended up working at an ad agency, getting a job in a little cubicle job, making like 35 grand a year in an ad agency. And I was like, "Okay, I have a big girl job. I'm in an office. I'm in a building. I have my own email address. Great." So that's how I kind of got my start more so on the advertising and media side of things. And I went on to work about a year at the ad agency, and I was like, it's a grind, but I knew I had other interests. So I ended up getting an offer to work for Revolt TV, which, I mean, I guess I used to be proud of saying it, but I mean, it was a cool time. Like I've never been to none of the parties, but yeah. I ended up working for Revolt TV on the ad sales side. What a time, child! But I ain't see nothing. But anyway, I was on the ad and media sales side of it, and then I went on to like work for BT and an account management side, so working with like big brands and like working on like when the brands brought media and TV placements on these channels.
Right.
And I also, so across television, like moved on to more like the agency side. Went back to agency for a really quick time, that I went back to TV. Ended up on the marketing team for MTV and VH1. I skipped Condé Nast.
That's a cool job, by the way. Let's pause right quick. Alexa, this is the thing. These are the things that the media girls we want to hear. Like, yeah, it's TV, and then you being in New York, that has a little advantage, right? Because you do have to be there to get in the rooms, to get the roles, to network, whatnot. And also, y'all, I want to keep in mind now, we are coming from the time where you did have to be in the locale to get those jobs, right? Yeah. Nowadays, you can be at home in middle USA and just be a creator, and everything comes to you. But it wasn't always like that, okay? So I want y'all to also ground the fact that, yes, we had to relocate or position ourselves in life to be able to like garner those relationships and those jobs and things like that. So Alexa, I know it wasn't easy or cute when you were doing it, right? But in hindsight, it's like, hey, so talk to us about, did you see the creator economy start? Like, when did you see, like, wait, what is this happening? Because I could imagine you kind of start seeing it evolve. So talk to us a little bit about that.
I think the first time I really understood, or I mean, I had like my YouTubers that I followed, like the old Jackie Aina and Patricia Bright. But when I was working at Condé Nast, I remember I had OPI as a client, and they wanted to do an influencer activation. I was like, oh, okay, cool. What is this or whatever? And so we ended up getting, I think it was like a pretty famous nail tech to send her some product and just show how she's doing the OPI gel manicure. And, that was my just kind of going through that deal and seeing how much like she was being paid, and seeing like, okay, this is actually, they're taking this social content, now they're repurposing on the website. So seeing that, like, that side of the business, and seeing how, this huge brand is starting to invest in creators, that kind of like, it piqued my interest. And so that, then going from working at Condé Nast, I worked very briefly for like an influencer marketing startup. So that was still around the time that influencer marketing was kind of the Wild West. So like, people were, it was how big is your audience? Like, do you have like 100K followers? Great, we'll throw money at you. So seeing again how brands starting to like change their mindset between, okay, we're not going to pay, 50K for a print placement. We'd rather pay 10 creators $5,000. So seeing that change, that evolution in real time, started to further perk my ears up. Like, I'm like, okay, this is actually a real thing. And so going from, when I made it to working on the marketing team, consumer marketing for MTV and VH1, and I was working on like the VMAs and like the Love and Hip Hop premieres and the Challenge premieres, I was like, well, traditional media is really freaking expensive. Like we were spending like 6 figures on like TV, other TV ads and digital placements. I was like, well, we should start investing in creators, because when I'm looking for something to watch, I'm going on social media. I want to see what people are talking about. So I was actually really, I feel like I was a big catalyst into the investment in influencer marketing when I was at MTV and VH1, and we started doing that more. And we started seeing, okay, cool, like we're trending. This content's going viral. Our premiere is going viral based on some skits that people are doing, things like that. So, or skits that we've paid creators to create. So just seeing the power of that, from years ago, and seeing kind of how, again, like how these large brands and companies are also starting to realize and come around to see like the ROI of an influencer far beats traditional media and paid ads. And it's only going to get better, bigger. I think currently, they're saying creator marketing is a $40 billion economy, $40 billion, spend in terms of like investments and these companies, what they're spending. So it's huge. And I think it's only going to get bigger and better.
I agree. Yes. So I just love it. I wanted to ask you, around what year was this when MTV and you were kind of advocating for the ad spend to be to creators? Around what year was there, or time frame?
This was about 2019. So this was even like before, because I feel like creator economy really took off during COVID, which like I'm half wishing I wasn't making banana bread and drinking all day, and maybe I should have just been dancing on TikTok. But right. This was like 2019. So I think that was like brands were still like, are influencers, like, is this really worth it? Like, is this gonna work? And it's like, yes.
That is crazy. Oh, it was just 5 minutes ago. So 2019, that's the same year I got married, and boom, pandemic happened. Everybody goes into lockdown. I had actually downloaded TikTok. Then there was this weird rumor about, we don't have to repeat it, but it was just a sketchy rumor about what TikTok was. And so I was just like, oh, I'm not going to be on there. Oh, girl, what's her name? Jalea, the renegade. Boom, boom, boom. She got all her money, honey. And I was like, all right, hold on now, listen. She just became viral. She's at the basketball games. And I think her name is Janae or Jalea, the renegade on TikTok.
I know you're talking
about. And she was the first, you remember that? And she was like the first girl that I saw my own 2 eyes come from TikTok out into the real world. And mind you, TikTok wasn't even a big app adoption rate. It's still not really all the way on TikTok, like the collective. But anyway, it was not like it is today, okay? And so I was just curious from your perspective, like, when did this shift really happen? So you would say during the pandemic.
Yeah, I think COVID was a huge game changer, because again, like most of the creators that I know, like they came up through COVID. They're like, yeah, I just started, doing videos and now I'm like Insta famous. But yeah, I mean, it was time that people were at home, and a lot of people weren't working. So they had nothing else to do. And they felt like, well, I'm going to just turn to social and start filming stuff, which probably was the smartest thing. I do feel like, with also like the George Floyd of it all, with like the racial, unrest and social justice movement, all of that happening too. So I think that was also a great time for Black creators, where, like now brands were kind of forced to put their money where their mouths are and invest. And I think we saw a huge prioritization in like diversity. And, unfortunately now we've pretty much undid all of that, which is truly unfortunate. But I think that was also a time for a lot of Black creators, a lot of like representation and diversity to shine in the industry as well.
Nice. I love it. Let's talk a bit, Alexa, about transition from corporate agency roles to launching Lenox Social. So what was that internal shift that kind of told you it was time to build your own empire, or at least start working towards your own business, rather than working with the different corporate brands? Because you've named several, so you've done that. So talk to us a little bit about that pivot.
Yeah. So, I mean, the real talk, I was laid off in February. So, like, that honest truth is that the decision kind of got made for me. I got pushed off the cliff.
Yeah.
However, the readiness was always there. I mean, like, I would be lying if I said, because when I say the readiness was there, like, I've, so many creators, like, I've, over the past, 4 years, I was leading agency partnerships at LTK. And so, like, I've built relationships with so many creators, and to the point that, like, creators were coming up to me for advice and for questions. And so, so many creators were like, you should do your own thing. And I'm like, yeah, but like, I just, but God. So I got pushed off the deep end in February. And after spending years watching creators leave money on the table, watching again, building relationships, and really building respect in the industry, I'm kind of like, well, why can't I do my own thing? Like, this is I took the layoff more so as, this was just God's plan, because, what's meant for me will always be for me, and that job was not for me. So, like, now it's time for me to bet on myself and to take everything that I've learned, all the relationships that I've built, and really bet on myself, and also, continue to, because what was in my last role, what really made me excited and what I was passionate about was also championing for, like, diverse creators. And I think, there's, still to this day, a huge pay gap between, Black and brown creators and, their white counterparts. So I think, again, a lot of it comes down to, like, education and, like, teaching these creators the business, because no one else has been doing. And so really, like, moving into that, and like, and really doubling down on that in my own business, and in creating Lenox Social. I realized I didn't want to be a part of someone else's company. I didn't want to play by someone else's rules. I want to close the earnings gap myself for as many creators as I can. And yeah, I guess the layoff really just removed the excuse to wait on it and just to execute.
There you go. Everything does happen for a reason. And so I'm very excited for you, because everything happens for a reason, and timing is everything. And so while the time might have felt out of the blue or whatnot, it was the right place at the right time, because we do need women like you who have that knowledge to bring to the community, right? Or to, and not just the community. I'm sure you work with everyone, but the expertise is necessary, that professional side of just knowing, because a lot of times we just don't know, right? And so when we bring that knowledge back, it really does push the entire industry forward. So kudos to you. And we're going to talk about at the end how they can reach you, from Lenox Social. So also I want to dive in a little bit about, like, the activation. So you're activated, you're starting your business, and I like to talk about goddess energy and just really being in alignment with your authentic self, right? And so although you were working in these roles, you were always who you are. Like you said at the beginning, I'm from Harlem, I'm this, I'm like, excuse my New York accent, whatever. I'm from Harlem, I'm this, I'm that, I'm a PR girl, all the things, right? So how do you define goddess energy? Like, what does that mean to you? I'm just, curious, because I love to talk about it.
Yeah, and I love this question. I think it's a really important question too. I think so. To me, goddess energy is, knowing your worth before you walk into the room. And not negotiating against yourself, not shrinking yourself, but still moving, as you're confident, but it's still moving with grace, and still moving with, like, femininity, and still moving with power. You know what I mean? Like, again, I know I mentioned, like, Brianna, like, you have, like, having a presence that, that commands respect across the board, and really moving in that light, and it being, undeniable, and and you being able to also have that effect or have an impact on others around you.
Love it. That's it. So I want to pivot a little bit and dive into the conversation of creator economy. I saw Forbes release their creators list for 2026, and there were a ton of people on there, obviously. But one thing I noticed, and I wanted to get your take on this, is that the engagement rate for a lot of these creators, even like the top 10, was super low, like 0.3%. But then their value was 30 million. right? Or, huge brands, obviously they're on this creator list, but the engagement was pretty low. But one creator had pretty decent engagement, which was Drewski. His was at 13%. And then there's this other creator, I can't think of her name, but she's like one of the biggest on TikTok. And then she got her own little she got her own Netflix deal. Hers was in the teens, right? And so some of the makeup and beauty folks was like in the 8% to 10%. But Drewski off the back was like 13%. And I was just like, that's so interesting, because all the rest of it was like 0.03%, 0.05%. And how I took that was like, maybe the engagement isn't as important as we think. Whereas maybe on the business side, you all are looking at other metrics and not just if people are engaging with the content. So talk to me a little bit about that metric and what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah. So engagement really varies. And I think that not that it's not important, but it really depends on the goals of the brand or what they're trying to accomplish. So like, for example, there's two main types of campaigns, right? So a brand will either cast a creator for awareness, which is where it's like, okay, you have, 5 million followers. So they don't really care what your engagement is because, your reach, you have 5 million followers. So, you have a wider audience of people to consume this content. However, if a brand's goals is like sales or like performance, that's where conversion comes in. That's where engagement does become really important. So like a lot of like brands, like, the big box brands, like, maybe the Walmarts of the world, or like, brands that are like trying to sell something, they'll look for creators that have higher engagement rates, because these are people that actually have people in their comments, like asking where things are from, or engaging in more high propensity audience to eventually buy something, or people that have an audience that's more willing to, or more likely to convert. And I think that's more so. And again, like as a creator, you can kind of go either which way. Like you can be like the huge macro creator where it's like, again, creators, like brands want their names attached to you. So yeah, engagement like really isn't that important. But I will say though, data is becoming more and more important. So like even like brands are looking for conversion, they might work with a smaller creator, because that creator that has 80K followers might have like a 14-15% engagement rate, whereas like a creator that has like 200K 300K might have like a 2%. You know what I mean? So like the brands are actually moving towards, a lot of brands are including more micro creators, even some nano creators, because their audiences typically are more engaged, are more loyal, and it's are more willing to engage and potentially buy the items or whatever they're sharing.
Oh, okay. That's good to know, because it was very varied, the list was, but all the top 10 was like 0.5, 0.3. But then Drewski, which I was thinking like, we engage, right? Like his content, when he drops a skit, it's going in the group chats, it's going on Twitter. Like everybody's laughing at the same time. Like, did you hear about that Drewski skit? The blogs pick it up.
Exactly.
And engagement is very high with something like with his content. Whereas maybe there's a podcast that's just informing and raising awareness. I mean, there's still a big brand or big, podcast, but maybe the engagement isn't as big because they probably watching it like a TV show, right? Instead of trying to get in the comments and engage about what we just watched. So that's very interesting, because it's and encouraging, right? If you're a creator and people, what they call it on Instagram, when they just watching and not monitoring spirit,
like lurking, like ghost followers, having
ghost followers, yes. Or you have people, you'll have like or on your Instagram page, it will show you like how many people have been on your page, like 50,000, but then you're only getting like 3 likes. Well, sometimes, still post your content, because all the metrics have different definitions based on what you just said.
But and to your point too, like it's that viral, that comedic content that's going to get more shares and more things like that. So and even with creators that I coach and I talk to, I'm always saying, again, like when we are in this world that engagement, brands are looking at engagement, you need to start making sure that you're creating content that is shareable, asking questions to garner conversation, things like that, because that's really what is going to, bolster your engagement in a world that your reach is actually diminishing, which is a whole different conversation, but algorithming.
See, and it's so funny. Like we see the inside or the end result of creator economy, which is the content, but they're really apps. And this is really tech, right? This is tech. You work in tech. It happens to be social, but it's tech. All of this is technology and algorithms and data and AI. And so it's so nice to hear you from your perspective talk about it. Speaking of, let's do a little reality check here. What is the biggest shock for a creator when they finally see how the business side actually operates? So this might be a use case, or even in your agency, they start working with you, a professional, kind of coming in like a business. What is something that they're like, what? I did not know that.
Yeah, I think, and it's funny, I was on Threads. I live in the Threads too. But there was a creator and she was like, I have 4 million followers across all of my platforms and I haven't gotten a single brand deal this year. And it's like, I think the biggest reality check that I think people are now kind of getting hip to, and maybe some people haven't, is that your follower count is the least valuable number that you have. Like, again, brands, some brands, like, yes, they might pay for reach, but a lot of brands, especially for like these up and coming creators, they're paying for your outcomes. So again, like saves, clicks, how many conversions, they're paying for your audience, right? And so again, like if you're just posting like selfies or whatever, like that's not gonna cut it. If you're like a no shade to the IG models, things like that, but your follower count, like if you're trying to get a brand deal for like bathing suits, but your audience is mostly men, like that's not gonna work, So it's really about, again, like the quality of your audience and the outcomes. So again, like that's what I was saying, a creator with like 40,000 engaged followers can easily out earn someone with like 400,000 passive ones. And then I would say the second thing is just kind of like how much money lives in the parts that people don't talk about, right? So like when you're negotiating a deal, like usage rights, exclusivity, whitelisting, renewals, like that's where the real bag is, in my opinion. And a lot of creators, especially like, smaller creators, up and coming creators, they kind of give that away for free without, because they don't know what to charge for it. Like if a brand's asking for your content for usage in perpetuity, like they better be coming with a big old bag, because like, what do you mean you can put my content on billboards and train stations and whatever forever? Like that's crazy. But a lot of creators don't think like that. So just like the money in the details.
Gotcha. That's good to know. And I'm taking notes as well, because when I tell you, Alexa, I'll have brand partnerships. I think I would call mine just partnerships. And it'd be so random. Like they happen when I'm not trying, but it's like, I should try. And we talked about this. We talked about this in real life. He's like, yeah, Giselle, what are you doing? Like, you should do that. And I'm like, I know, but like, I'm just all over the place because of what you just said, like the nuance. And it can get discouraging, especially for me, because I have never, and now that I got your background as ad sales, marketing, consumer marketing, that's a natural shift and pivot into influencer marketing. So go you for even just being in flow, right? To be able to keep moving with the industry, because that's how you get ahead in life, y'all. Do not stop flowing. You got to keep going with the flow. And that is the divine feminine. That is your goddess energy. Alexa is a goddess. So she's not going to sit around and be like, they don't watch TV anymore. I guess I'll just wait until I can find a job somewhere else to sell ads. No, you pivot. You go to what's next. So that's an FYI. But I love that you said that, because that's something I think all creators, whether they're small or just posting, like I'm going to be a creator and not even realizing that they are, the nuance. So speaking of bags, let's talk about that. What is the largest amount of money you have personally seen or booked for a creator make in a single brand deal or campaign, but just in your memory, like, whoa, that was a That was a lot of money.
Yeah, I've seen like single brand deals land in like 6-figure range for one creator
Let's
for
get the
one
numbers. Let's get the numbers.
like 120K for like one creator for one campaign. Maybe like 3 videos, things like that. Again, like brands will pay. And it's funny too, because like a lot of people like they want to be, oh, I want to work with these fashion brands, stuff like that. Like where brands with the bags are is like beauty, those like health brands, kind of like the boring brands, like, but like the Pfizer's, they pay money. They like those, like all those like health wellness brands, they and like tech brands too, like
Hey, I was just about to say tech.
yeah, those tech brands like the TurboTaxes of the world, things like that. Like that's what a bag really is. Like don't be, I mean, not that fashion doesn't pay, but like I diversify yourself as a creator. But no, I've seen 6-figure deals for one creator. I've seen even creators like make 6 figures in a month with affiliates, things like that. But again, I think that really going back to just the amount of money that you can make when you are consistent and when you lock in. Like I've, through my work, working at LTK, I've literally helped, like I've changed creators' lives with the amount of money that they've ended up making through, even just doing affiliates. But the affiliates, again, that's where you get the data for the brands for those flat fee campaigns. So even through like leveraging their affiliate power, you can say, hey, well, I'm making this up, but like, I just sold $20,000 in Sephora, last week. So that's when Sephora can come to you and say, actually, okay, cool, this creator has conversion. Let's give her, 30, 40, 50K for, a couple of reels, things like that. So yeah, it's a lot of money in this.
It's a lot of money and it's a lot of techniques, is what I hear. And we ain't gonna give away too much sauce now. Y'all gonna have to book a call with Lenox Social to get the nitty gritty right, because this is a public platform. But I love to hear it. And then also, if you just go on Threads, if you're interested, because a lot of people are just in it for the money. I'm personally not, because I'm an OG creator. So I started with the blog, and we were not getting paid to blog back then, right? And I'm just saying 2015, 2016, or even whenever I started, whatever. So there was a time where we just was creating because we enjoyed it. Like, this is so fun. I'm creating my content, like very sunshines and rainbows. And then out of nowhere, like these sharks came into the business, like, let's make a deal. You know what I'm saying? Like it got corporatized, monetized. Every platform's paying. Everybody's posting anything to get money.
It's a business.
It's a business. And Alexa, I must take my own advice, because you will have to pivot, right? You're either gonna get in the business of creator economy, or you're just gonna sit on the sideline while everybody else is getting paid. And that will not be me. And so, speaking of affiliates, I will have my affiliate link in the description with Glamaholic Lifestyle. Okay, the bags are tea. I love their handbags. They were a brand, Black-owned luxury handbag brand, went viral. Probably was already viral, but definitely around the pandemic time. So I have several, and I'm going to hit the link in my bio so you guys can grab yours, my affiliate link. So, aren't you proud of me, Alexa? No, but seriously, I do love, and I love how you mentioned the affiliate and just having different methods and techniques. So that's more important than anything. Okay, so I know on your social media page, you talk about some quick profile fixes that people can make on their social accounts. Again, this is another insider scoop. And if you want to get more, book a session with her. But let's talk about the top 2 silent mistakes that creators make that are actively blocking them from making money right now.
I think so. First thing I would say, like they're on their Instagram or their TikTok, like your bio. I think your bio is very important in a lot of creators. I was on a call with a creator yesterday, and she was just like, she had a very generic bio, and it's like your bio should, it should read like a business, not just like a diary of things. You know what I mean? Like if a brand looks at your IG feed, your page, they should know in 3 seconds what you do. Like what you do, who you serve, and how to connect with you and where you're located too.
Okay.
So
Location is important.
yes, like
Okay.
you're where you're located, because there's a lot of sometimes brands have like, events, or they have like, regional like activations or whatever. So it's very important to have your location, and then your email too. I always tell creators, like, don't just depend on the little button, the email button. Like, have your email actually in your bio, because when you're on computers, most people, like, if you're on computers, the little button isn't there. So, and it's like, and I've been there before where I'm casting and I'm like, I don't have time. I have like, 30 minutes before I have to get this list in, and I don't have time to be digging for an email. So make sure that your email is there. And then again, like your bio has like your niche, your positioning. Cause yeah, if you're not clear, you have no contact, you won't get any money.
There it is. Very simple. So let's dive into a little bit about the elevation, like the next era of social. Because we've talked about a lot. So we talked about the past, we talked about what's current, what's happening now, gave us some tips on how to, get our page to look like a business today, right? So those actionable steps. But let's talk a little bit about the future. So looking at the landscape of social right now, what major shift should creators be preparing for over the next 12 to 18 months, in your opinion?
So I would say, and I see this with a lot of creators, kind of like those like mid-tier creators, like the middle is kind of disappearing. And what I mean by this is that brands, they're moving, I see them moving towards like into two different paths. They go with like a few big like macro creator partners that they go deep with, they're doing like long term, they have these creators as the face of their brand, things like that. And then they have also like a wide net of smaller creators that they can activate at scale, again, because the smaller creators typically have like better engagement, they have a more loyal audience and following, things like that. So the creators that will win will be like either like, undeniable specialists at what we know, or within a particular niche or a focus, or have like a very like tight but large business. And so that's the main thing. I think that, again, like really focusing on the quality of your audience is going to mean a lot more than your follower count, your growth, things like that. I would also tell people to own their audiences like outside of their main platform. What I mean is, like, you have like IG, you have TikTok, and we're all at the mercy of these algorithms. And you need something where, like, God forbid, I mean, TikTok almost shut down like mad times last year. You know what I mean? So like people would have been SOL if it actually did. So I always encourage creators, and I do this in my coaching a lot, like, whether it's like an email list, building a community, a Substack, Patreon, like anything that you can have on your own. If your IG disappeared, got hacked tomorrow, TikTok ended up going under, things like that. So just having ownership of your community, because borrowed audiences are pretty fragile, and you don't want to be at the mercy of someone's algorithm. And then the last thing I'll add to just data, just be fluent, know your data, learn your data, be good at data, be good at talking about your data, just because, again, like the creators that can speak about their conversion, about their value, and not just their views, they'll be paid very, very differently than the ones that can't.
This is so good, Alexa. I'm sitting here just, I am all consuming with everything you're saying. Because like I'm my listen, but anyway, my husband, he is a very analytical creator, right? And I remember when we were in Atlanta, he would be on that YouTube looking at them analytics, because he does YouTube streaming. We've had a run. So we've been doing all the things creative. But there was an era around the pandemic time, and he would just always be looking at those analytics, the data, the numbers, the views. And he was really had a really great momentum in a community that he created, right? To the point where he got brand deals. He had partnered with several different brands. And this is like more in the Web3 space. So this was a very high time, but like NFTs, crypto, things like that. And so we were in Miami, and we were at Art Basel, and they're like, "JL, what's up?" Because he had built such a strong following, and that data converted into real people in real life at these events. And I'm not gonna lie, because it's my husband. So I was just looking at him like, now what am I doing? Like what am I doing differently? But as a woman creator, also as a finding your niche or finding your beauty, like you said earlier, fashion, no. Beauty, tech, you literally name like the top categories that we're trying to or we're like kind of in. But just knowing where you're at with your content and making sure you're staying in that arena. So real quick, because I know we're kind of running over, talk to us about the multifaceted creator. Let's say someone who's, because I see this on TikTok a lot. They're like, I do everything. I do this and I do that and I do this, versus an algorithm or a business like yourself being able to put you in a category so I could pay you for a campaign, right? Talk to me about the difference in the two and which works better for monetization.
Yeah. So I always ask creators, I'm like, what do you want to be known for? Because someone that, like, to your point, if they do like, yeah, I'm fashion, beauty, lifestyle, home, like, okay, but what is your thing? Because I always tell creators, like, if you're known for everything, you're known for nothing, right?
Yeah.
So in order to grow yourself and grow your audience and like really be seen as an authority, not to say that you can't post the trip that you're going on or you can't post, your new home, but like you need to be known for something and build an authority in a space, because that's where people are going to come to you and people are going to trust you. And brand, once you build that trust, once you build that community, once you really, have that audience that is invested, that's when, a brand can know that they can successfully attach themselves to you for to sell things. So that's really all what brand deals are. Brands are paying for your audience. Brands are paying for your ability to convert your audience. So once you build up an authority in a particular space, whether it's like you giving hot takes, you showing behind the scenes of what you're doing day to day, or you sharing information, educational things like that. Like once you have established that, then again, it'll be like, without question, brands will be able to say, hey, I can work with this person because this is so and so is a chef that's well suited in like keto, or this person is is big on gut health and things like that, or so it's not saying like you can't share other verticals, but I think it's really important, if you're trying to grow and if you're trying to attract brand attention, you need to have, I would say, have like 2 to 3 pillars, and then all of your content can filter into those 3 pillars. But you can't just be all over the place, because what makes you different from anyone else?
Right. Well, I appreciate that. I know the audience is taking notes, because we talk about all sorts of things on this podcast, but definitely that feminine energy, which can also be kind of all over the place, but being able to ground it and also finding your own flow and just sticking with it. And speaking of, I want to kind of close out to talk a little bit about you as an entrepreneur, because you've given us so much data, so much game, so many tips, right? But Alexa, how do you wind down and maintain your peace as an entrepreneur? I know it can get hectic, or even the industry you're in, because it seems like it's very volatile, right? Where it's always up, down, and changing. So how do you maintain a soft life while building your brand?
It's funny because I was talking to someone about this, I think the other day, because we live like, I probably do have like adult ADHD, which is, and I've had to learn this the hard way, because my instinct is to be working on like 5 different things at one time. And although I actually really am type B plus, when it comes to like what I'm putting out to the world, I'm very much type A. So like, I'm not putting anything out unless it's perfect. But oh my God, this new thing over here. Like, so it's really more so picking 1 or 2 things that can actually move the needle, and letting the rest wait. And I think with entrepreneurship, like it's kind of like choose your own adventure. There's so many opportunities. I can be doing this. I could be, partnering with this person, doing this content. But it's like picking the, one or two things that actually are going to move myself forward, things that are going to make the most impact, and really focusing on that, and also just staying abreast. I am big with like I love Claude. Claude is like my best friend now, so I created this like agent, or this I guess co-working tool where it gives me it's it runs bi-weekly, and it gives me like all the top headlines in like the creator space, and like with creator and social media, and like the different agencies. So like just staying abreast of like what is going on in the world, so that I could talk about it and I can be knowledgeable, but kind of creating systems, to answer your question, creating systems, really prioritizing things, and also to self-care. Like leaving corporate has allowed me to re-regulate my nervous system, and I promise to never allow myself to get to that crazy like bad place again. So entrepreneurship can also be a challenge, but I think grinding for yourself is a different grind than grinding for somebody else. So I'm willing to do it, but I think it's important to maintain your stability, because, and take rest. Like I just came off of a little rest period when I had to like just take a step back and like relearn my own rhythm and get back into my groove. And I think that, keeping boundaries around work, because like a soft life isn't doing nothing. It's doing the right things without burning yourself out. Because like I can't sell creators on building sustainable businesses if like mine is on fire. So taking my time for sure.
Yeah. And you're right. The systems are important, and we should all be using AI, right? I am a huge advocate for AI adoption, because I've seen the world without it. And frankly, we were doing the most just to get the very minimal output. Like think about either both of us is working in media and having to move. Like I had to move to Atlanta to get in my industry. I couldn't do it where I was from, right? And so using AI and tech and just kind of getting with the times, it can really just make everything easier, not harder. And so I am the same way. I deploy AI all day and night, right? As much as I can, to leverage those tools to make everything easier. And so I encourage that as well. And that is really nice to hear. And I'm glad you take time for yourself, because you are the most important person in your life. Okay. It starts with you, and then everyone else can get in line.
Exactly.
Including the dog. Okay.
Don't tell him that, but yeah.
I'm about to say, I bet he doesn't think that, but no, everything you first. So that is so nice, Alexa. This has been such a powerful conversation. I'm so excited to have you here. And before we wrap, could you tell us, how can people reach out, work with you, and stay connected with everything you're doing on Lenox Social?
Yes. Oh, thank you so much for having me. This has been so much fun. And yeah, I mean, if anyone wants to connect, reach out, the easiest place is Instagram. It's at Lenox Social. That's where I post all of like the quick fixes and real industry takes and things like that. Also find me at lenoxsocial.com. You can email at info@lenoxsocial. But yeah, I mean, if you're a creator, or if you're in the industry or agency, or if you know that you're leaving money on the table through social media, and if you're ready to run it like a business, then that's, that's who I built it for. And not just, and I will say this too, like not just, a content creator, influencer, but I always say anyone, if you have a business, whether you are in real estate, if you are a trainer, you are a chef, and you have a social media, like you need this information too. So yeah, come find me.
Yay! Thank you so much, Alexa, for being here. I'm so excited that we were able to connect and have this conversation. And yeah, I feel very empowered. And so with that being said, episode 22, a conversation with Alexa Burse on the Goddess Giselle Podcast. And until next time, we'll see you later. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Bye.